पॉलिसी बाजार पर 1 करोड़ रुपए का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस केवल 450 रुपए महीने से शुरू। वाव!
Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. From Rafale jets to an all-weather tunnel for troops, India fortifies the Arunachal border, new flashpoint. India responds in kind. India is building up its defense infrastructure in the northeast for troops. The new Rafales will be based at the Eastern Air Command in response to the Chinese threat. Did even a dog die in BJP's houses? Parliament disrupted over remarks by the new Congress President Kharge. He had said yesterday at the Bharat Jodo Yatra that Indira Rajiv sacrificed their life for India. What did the BJP do? The government demands an apology. The Congress refuses. China's viral COVID surge beating estimates. Reports coming in that hospitals and crematoriums are overwhelmed. The Economist predicts that deaths could cross 1.5 million. The official figures so far, only 7 deaths. India also orders genome sequencing of all new COVID cases, the current rise in China, US and Japan of COVID. Safeguarding global biodiversity, a major climate agreement signed as nations agrees to raise protected land and marine area by 30% globally. Prime Minister Modi and government ministers across the world will also now get a grey tick from blue to grey. It's a gold tick for corporates, blue for individuals. But no news from Twitter chief Musk on quitting after a Twitter poll went against him. Well, shivering in North India and sweltering in Mumbai. Two weather extremes as winter hits North India. In Mumbai, it's warmer than ever. And what a welcome as that Argentinian team arrives home to ecstatic fans. The whole country celebrating. In fact, Argentina declares a national holiday. Our lead story tonight, a major build-up by India in defense infrastructure along the Arunachal border given the China threat. From Rafales at the Eastern Air Command to an all-weather tunnel, India is fortifying. An all-weather tunnel is being built so far at the highest altitude in India for troops to move at all weathers. The new batch of Rafales has now been inducted in the Eastern Air Command and various other fortifications to make sure India's defense infrastructure is fully prepared for any threat.
For long, Northeast India has been lagging behind when it comes to road infrastructure and connectivity. But now focus is on the Northeast with China ramping up infrastructure along the border areas. And therefore, there are many big ticket projects in the pipeline to be completed soon, which will provide quick and easy deployment of troops along the border with China, particularly in states like Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. And one such big-ticket project is the world's longest bi-lane tunnel, which is coming up at an altitude of 13,000 feet.
Soon, Indian troops can reach Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh using this all-weather tunnel. Work on this is being fast-tracked and it will be ready early next year. Just recently, the Air Force station in Hashimara in West Bengal received the last of the 18 of the 2nd Squadron of the Rafale aircraft with a traditional water cannon salute. The Rafale significantly boosts the capabilities of the Eastern Air Command, sharpening the offensive capabilities of the Air Force with their advanced weaponry, high-tech sensors, superior radar for detections and tracking of targets. The plan to keep the jets at Hashimara, however, were in place before the latest flare-up in the Tawang sector. Then there is the Sivok-Rangpur rail link, which is expected to be completed by next year. The 45-kilometer long railway line will help in faster movement of troops to areas like Nathula Pass and Doklam in Sikkim. The Arunachal Pradesh government also recently started construction work on the Trans-Arunachal Highway, a 1,703-kilometer two-lane highway from Tawang in the northwest to Kanubari at the other end of Arunachal Pradesh.
In one of those areas where there is a different perception on the other thing, the PLA patrol had contested and this was contested very firmly and resolutely by our forces on ground. which led to some amount of physical violence, but I'm happy to say that it was contained at the local level.
The Indian Army says they're prepared for any eventuality, even as China on the other side of the border is aggressively building roads and other infrastructure projects to facilitate troop movement. But if these projects on the Indian side that will improve connectivity and build infrastructure are completed soon, it will assist the military in emergency troop deployment if there is an act of aggression by China. With Ratnadeep Chaudhary in Guwahati, in Kolkata, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Important build-up there by India. But moving to the other headlines from Parliament today, and the remarks that dominated were that of the new Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge during the Bharat Jodo Yatra yesterday, where he said Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi died for the country. Congressmen sacrificed their lives during the freedom struggle, but in the BJP's houses, did even a dog die? He also said that it wasn't clear he was referring to, talks like a tiger outside, but is actually a chooha or a mouse. The government today demanded an apology. Mallikarjun Kharge and the Congress refused.
We are not children.
Rajya Sabha witnessed a ruckus yet again on Tuesday, with opposition members demanding discussion on Chinese incursion and Tawang clashes. While Treasury benches demanding an apology from Mallikarjun Kharge for his dog and mouse remarks. While addressing a rally in Rajasthan's Alwar, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge had said,
आपके घर में कोई देश के लिए कुत्ता तो मरा है? क्या कोई तो कुर्बानी दी है? नहीं, लेकिन फिर भी वो देशभक्त और हम कुछ भी बोलेंगे तो देशद्रोही। बाहर तो शेर के जैसा बात करते हैं, लेकिन उनका जो चलना है वो सिर्फ आप देखेंगे तो चूहे के जैसा है।
जिस प्रकार से खरगे जी ने अभद्र भाषा का प्रयोग किया और उनसे माफी की मांग करता हूं, उन्होंने माफी मांगनी चाहिए। सर, मुझे लगता है नेता प्रतिपक्ष को शायद इतिहास बहुत ज्यादा याद नहीं है। उनको ये याद नहीं है कैसे कांग्रेस की वजह से जम्मू कश्मीर का क्या हालत हुई। उनको ये याद नहीं है कैसे आज भी भारत की करके रखी है। उनको ये याद नहीं है उन्हीं के समय चाइना ने 38,000 किलोमीटर भारत की जमीन हड़प ली थी।
Today, Kharge, who is also the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, remained combative and refused to apologize.
जो आजादी के वक्त माफी मांगने वाले लोग और जो आजादी के लिए जो लड़े हैं उनको पूछ रहे हैं आप माफी मांगो। कांग्रेस पार्टी हमेशा देश को जोड़ने की बात करती है और इसके लिए सर इसके लिए इंदिरा गांधी जी ने अपनी जान दी, राजीव गांधी जी ने अपना जान दिया।
However, despite the acrimony, this is the most productive session in the Parliament since 2020. 4 bills have been passed in both the houses so far, including New Delhi Arbitration Centre Bill and demand of grants.
The other big headline tonight, the current China's COVID surge. Is it thermonuclear bad, as some doctors in the US are tweeting on Twitter? The current official death toll, according to China, is 7 people dead in 2 weeks. But reports coming in that 200 are dying daily at just one Beijing crematorium. So let's just look at the top 5 indicators which are worrying the world. Well, over 15 lakh deaths forecast in China. That's a projection by The Economist. Also, 80 crore are likely infections in 3 months. This is coming from a top US health expert, Dr. Eric Fiegelding. Medical staff are overworked and fever clinics overwhelmed are the reports that are coming out of China. The China government had a U-turn on restrictions, saying that COVID is now flu-like and lesser people are dying from respiratory failure.
According to this tweet by one of the world's top health experts, the COVID situation in China is rapidly worsening. After years of sudden lockdowns, mass testing, long quarantines and travel restrictions, China has announced just 7 fresh COVID deaths since it eased restrictions a fortnight ago. But there is now overwhelming evidence to suggest these numbers are vastly underreported. An independent projection by the British weekly newspaper, The Economist, has predicted 15 lakh plus deaths across China in the next few months. While top health expert Dr. Eric Ding says the number of deaths could be in millions. Officials at the emergency department of this hospital in southern China's Guangdong, that borders Hong Kong and Macau, describe a deluge of patients with COVID symptoms.
这个医务工作者其实真的每次都冲在一线，在广州饭餐，有个小朋友走的时候还很开心，他就说：“哎呀，到时候哥哥姐姐们去湖北玩呐。”当时还是很感谢的。只要大家其实一起齐心协力，其实这个很多事情还是会过去。
Similar scenes at this hospital in Shenyang, the capital of a province in northeast China.
都在坚持在自己的岗位上值班，这样的话也是保证了这个急诊医疗的顺利进行。
China, though, is pressing ahead with reopening the country. Its largest airline has resumed 21 international flights this month. At the international airport in Guangzhou, China's fifth most populous city, passengers are no longer required to present a PCR testing result or a health code. But officials and global health experts outside China are anxiously watching the COVID-19 surge, particularly worried about how it will hurt the global economy and possibly lead to new coronavirus variants of concern. Bureau Report, NDTV.
So that's the big worry with flights operating as normal. Even though countries like China and India don't have direct flights yet, the problem is that people can travel with the virus, and will the world be hit once again? This is cases are rising in the US as well. So China's GDP growth forecast has been cut to 2.7% by the World Bank. That's been slashed almost 50% from 4.3%. If true, it will be China's slowest GDP growth since 1962. The World Bank says that economic growth will recover in 2023 to 4.3%, but the growth slowdown is likely because of the high return of COVID cases and that the COVID outbreaks and stringent curbs are causing an economic downturn. The World Bank also says the export demand is likely to wane with weak global demand growth. Remember, of course, China, the world's second largest economy and, of course, the manufacturing hub for global companies. Joining me now is Mr. Sun Tianyun. He's a reporter, for correspondent with the official Chinese television network, joining me from Beijing. How are you seeing what's currently happening in China? Because there's so much concern about what the official figures are, just 7 deaths in 2 weeks, and what the unofficial estimates are expected to be. What can you say today on that?
Well, the concern is totally understandable. China's National Health Commission says this afternoon that the most urgent task for COVID-19 prevention and control is to ensure medical supplies and services and the opening of more fever clinics, especially in rural areas. Now, the Chinese mainland reported about 2,700 new COVID cases as of yesterday, mainly in Guangdong province and Beijing, while the latter saw 5 new coronavirus-led deaths. Now, the Health Commission says underlying diseases are the main cause of Omicron death now in the Chinese mainland, especially among elderly people with chronic respiratory diseases. And those are the most vulnerable people. An expert from Peking University First Hospital actually says very few people have died directly of respiratory failure caused by Omicron. The doctor says the characteristics of the COVID-19 have changed so much from 3 years ago in Wuhan, where most of the patients died of lung failure. And the virulence, one good thing about it is that the Omicron virulence has decreased significantly compared to the previous strains such as Alpha and Delta.
And in fact, we saw that. Yes, we saw that press conference by Chinese health officials making that very important point that you are. But when you see the Economist projecting 1.5 million deaths, when you see international health experts posting videos which are showing overwhelmed hospitals, reports at crematoriums, that smoke is coming out of crematoriums, that one Beijing crematorium is reporting up to 200 deaths daily. As a correspondent, can you verify that?
Well, I can't verify anything because numbers are just estimation so far. But one fact about Beijing or China's medical system is that it's under challenge. That's true, but it's not overwhelmed. I spoke to medical workers just yesterday, and they told me, yes, they did have more infections and more patients visiting the fever clinic. There lines and queues, but it's not overwhelmed. People are still although it's crowded, but it's still functioning well. But we do have some difficulties getting all the medicines we need, but this concern will be over soon because everything is changing so fast. You can't say that for certain that China is doomed to have 1.5 million deaths. For a country with 1.4 billion people like India, we're one of the two most populous countries in the world. It's difficult to guard against something like Omicron. You can't see it. You can't feel it.
No, exactly.
But
and I think
when it passes, we know it for sure.
Many of the same challenges we're facing, but let's just see how this unfolds. We wish you all the best, of course, at a very difficult situation to report on as well. Thank you for joining us tonight, live from Beijing. Thank you. Well, India has responded to reports coming in of the global COVID surge, especially in key countries like the United States, China, Japan, South Korea and Brazil. India has asked states to carry out genome sequencing on all new COVID cases, asking them to test for newer COVID variants. This, if you just look at the 7-day average of the surge in cases compared to India, you can see that India is currently at a low, other countries much higher. But this graphic is based on official cases. So currently, China's cases are being shown as much lower than what unofficial estimates are saying. One of our other big headlines, globally, nations have agreed to protect a third of the planet for nature by 2030 in a landmark deal aimed at safeguarding biodiversity. It will also help climate action. Called the coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, the agreement vastly increases the extent of land and marine areas that need to be protected at 30%. Currently, far less than this is protected. In the last 5 decades, there's been a 69% drop on average in the monitored population of mammals, birds and other amphibians, reptiles and fish. The deal struck at the COP15 summit in Canada charts a course that could potentially see nature pull back from the brink by 2030 and keeps the goal of keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade alive. And with international, the developed nations committing funds to this, the hope is that this deal will actually be reality. Well, a quick look at other news. Today, Prime Minister Modi's official Twitter handle is grey along with other government ministers. This is in line with what's happening across the world with Twitter, with government leaders going grey, corporates going gold and individuals still on a blue tick. However, what's interesting many is what Elon Musk is actually planning next. The owner of Twitter had run a Twitter poll saying, should I step down as in charge? The overwhelming majority said yes, he should. After that, nothing much. In fact, nothing has been heard from him at all. So Twitter keeping everyone guessing as usual with Musk in charge. An interesting new index in India, where today for the first time the centre released the Social Progress Index to track how states are doing on social indicators.
3 of India's smallest states and popular tourist destinations have topped the first Social Progress Index ranking commissioned by the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. And 6 of India's large states have ranked right at the end, showing low and very little social progress. The ranking is based on data of pre-COVID and is largely done on available government data. However, the government has said this cannot be used as policy inputs, the purpose of the exercise.
But let me say it's a first attempt to take into account, not a first, but another attempt to take into account indicators beyond GDP. One step forward, but not yet there as far as, I wouldn't yet begin to use it for policy making.
As other panelists have said, several of the indicators here, they have value judgments. You may think that these are the right indicators to use, but they are value judgments.
The architects of the index are Amit Kapoor, Stanford University, and Michael Green of Social Progress Imperative, who have been bringing an annual global social progress index where India is ranked 110th out of the 169 countries.
And in fact, the Prime Minister has also said that there are two aspects that are important. One is ease of living and the other one is ease of doing business. So this is an effort which actually looks at the aspect of ease of living. And the ease of doing business anyways does happen within the country. I don't think they were critical. It's a positive feedback in terms of how we can improve it.
The Social Progress Index is expected to be an annual feature and is expected to help states, districts to compete and improve the livelihoods of people. With camera person Kanan Patra, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
It's about available.
Well, a quick look at the markets. Margin losses today. The Sensex falling again by 103 points. The Nifty falling just 35 points. Realty shares down the most today. Bank of Japan has shocked global markets with a bond yield shift. Asian markets declining overall after the Bank of Japan widened their yield target range. The yen has strengthened. The rupee weakened 5 paise today. Well, an update on the weather. It's December, and though we've had a very warm December in the north, finally dense fog has come in. It's all across North India this morning, and car pileups and accidents were on the rise on highways. The Delhi airport has launched its low visibility plan. Many trains were delayed today, and do expect that in the next few days as well. Even the Haryana Deputy Chief Minister's car had an accident because of the fog. One dead, over a dozen injured in Noida, again because of severe fog. So drive extremely carefully, especially in North India. But as North India is getting colder, Mumbai is getting much, much warmer, where temperatures here are still a Mumbai summer.
Mumbai temperatures at 3 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Delhi is at 23 degrees Celsius, while Mumbai is at 33 degrees Celsius, making it the hottest city in the country.
As we all can see, the temperature is rising day by day. Being in December, at this point of time, the sun is very high and it is humid, it is very humid.
The temperature this year in this month is quite high. During the night also the temperature is quite high. We are sweating very badly while traveling in the train. I don't know why this is happening. Is this a cause of global warming?
अभी फिलहाल कोई राहत की संभावना मुंबई को दिखाई नहीं दे रही है, लेकिन 23 या 24 तारीख से दिसंबर से जो हवाएं हैं वो थोड़ा सा बदलेंगी, उत्तर दिशा से शुरू हो जाएंगी, जिससे कि मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम दोनों टेम्परेचर गिरेंगे। मुंबई में जो मिनिमम टेम्परेचर 2 से 3 डिग्री गिर जाएगा और मैक्सिमम टेम्परेचर में भी इसी तरह की गिरावट हो सकती है।
The highest ever temperature in Mumbai for December, 38 degrees, was recorded back in 1987. With Pooja Bhardwaj and cameraman Praveen G. Rohit, this is Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.